Have you ever wondered why two people with the same idea, one becomes a legend and the other disappears without a trace? Why Apple changed the world, while others, with more money and better products, failed miserably? The secret isn't what they did or how they did it. It's why. Because people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. This isn't just a business idea. It's the difference between inspiring the world and being forgotten by it. Let's uncover the truth behind how great leaders from Martin Luther King Jr. to Steve Jobs turned their why into a revolution. This is Start With Why by Simon Sinek.
Hello, everyone. Hi, all, and welcome to Book Podcast Zone.
I'm Emma, and I am incredibly enthusiastic to be your guide today.
And I'm John.
Welcome back. So, our mission today in this deep dive is really to unpack Simon Sinek's framework in Start With Why. We want to pull out the most powerful insights.
Yeah, give you, our listener, a real shortcut to understand these core ideas, inspiration, leadership, the power of purpose. We're going straight to the source material here.
Exactly. We want to get under the hood, understand the mechanics of what makes people truly connect and commit.
And look, this stuff is essential, really, no matter what you do, whether you're prepping for a big meeting, trying to lead a team, especially now with hybrid work and everything, or even if you're just trying to make sense of the U.S. market. Why do some ideas just take off while others, maybe even better ideas on paper, just vanish?
It's about understanding that mechanism, that lasting inspiration. Okay, let's dive in. #tag segment 1, Foundations, the Power of Purpose. Preface and introduction. #I. Preface. The raw energy behind true inspiration. So Sinek kicks things off right in the preface, talking about this raw energy behind real inspiration. He sets up this contrast immediately.
Yeah, it's that feeling of, just going through the motions, uninspired work, versus that almost electric thrill when you find your purpose, when you know why you're doing something.
It's more than just feeling good, isn't it? It's like potential energy becoming kinetic.
Exactly. It's the difference between just showing up and actually being invested. Sinek basically says purpose is the fuel. It's that emotional spark, the thing that separates an average leader or company from one that really makes an impact.
Right. If you just talk about tasks, you get compliance. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. But if you talk about belief, about the why, that's where you find dedication. It's a whole different level of engagement. It fundamentally changes the dynamics.
And the first big idea he throws out there is how our assumptions about motivation are often just wrong. We think it's money or status or promotions.
The usual suspects.
Exactly. But he argues the why, the actual belief underneath it all, matters way more than the what you're selling or how you're doing it. If you start with the what, you're just in a race to add more features.
A race to the bottom, often.
Yeah.
But if you start with why, you're not just selling something, you're starting a movement. You're inviting people to join a cause they believe in.
We see this so clearly in the U.S. tech world, right? Especially with some of the big visionary figures.
Oh, absolutely. Think about Elon Musk, especially with his newer ventures like XAI in the 2025 context we're seeing now. When they launch something or even just announce it, the first thing you hear isn't the detailed specs or the market projections. It starts with this huge, almost audacious why. Understanding the universe or advancing human consciousness.
Right. It's massive.
It's massive. And that vision, that's the magnet. That's what pulls in the top talent, the investment, the public fascination, often way before there's even a product people can touch. The purpose is the first product.
That kind of audacious vision, it captures the imagination, doesn't it? It's not just an ad, it's a rallying cry.
Precisely. It gives people a stake in the outcome, a reason to care beyond just the transaction.
Okay, that really sets the stage. Like, subscribe, and share for more update, and continue to next. #tag 2, Introduction Why. Start with why. So building on that, the introduction really digs into the core question. Why must we start with why? Sinek's setting us up for this shift in thinking.
He's showing, example after example, how genuine inspiration just consistently outperforms manipulation in the long run. Manipulation might get you a quick sale, but it doesn't build anything lasting.
And he taps into that question we all kind of wonder about, right? Why do some companies become these icons? Like, people are fiercely loyal, almost irrationally so.
While others, maybe with more money, better tech even, just fade away. What's the hidden variable? The whole book is basically an answer to that.
And I think the real kicker in the intro is how he reframes success stories we think we know. Take Apple. We often say, oh, brilliant design or aggressive marketing.
Sure, those things are true. But Sinek digs deeper. He points to their core why, challenging the status quo, thinking differently. That's the belief that fuels the design, the marketing, and ultimately the loyalty. It's why they can pivot so effectively.
Apple is such a prime example, especially in the US context. Their why is just so consistent.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's always been about empowering people by making technology beautiful and easy to use, challenging norms. That's the why. The how is their focus on elegant, intuitive design. And the what? Well, that's the iPhones, the Macs, the watches.
But they don't lead with the what.
Never. They lead with the belief. Buying Apple isn't just buying a computer. It's aligning yourself with that think different ethos. That core purpose lets them jump from computers to music to phones to, well, who knows what's next. The connection is emotional. It's to the why, not just the current product.
So the product becomes almost secondary. It's about buying into an identity.
You got it. That's the power of starting with why. It creates a connection that transcends features and specs.
Fascinating stuff. Okay, let's move into the next part. Like, subscribe, and share for more update and continue to next. Hashtag segment 2, manipulation versus inspiration, part 1, chapters 1 and 2. Hashtag tag 3, chapter 1, assume you know.
All right, chapter 1, assume you know. This is where Sinek really starts to pull back the curtain on how flawed our thinking often is in business.
Yeah, he creates this tension, making us realize we often operate on assumptions about why people do things, customers, employees, whoever, and we're usually wrong.
It's a critique of relying purely on data, isn't it? We see the numbers, we see what happened, and we just assume we know why it happened.
Right. Sales dropped, must be the price, or engagement is low, people must be lazy. Sinek warns that these surface-level assumptions, they lead to really costly mistakes. The real reasons, the deeper, often emotional drivers, are usually hidden.
And the kind of emotional jolt here is realizing that any strategy built on those shaky assumptions is just unstable. It might work for a bit, maybe you get a short-term win.
But it won't last.
Exactly, because you haven't addressed the actual motivation. Assumptions lead to transactions. Understanding the why builds relationships, build loyalty.
This feels incredibly relevant right now, especially with AI becoming so central in, say, the U.S. tech scene in 2025.
Oh, definitely. Companies are leaning so heavily on big data, on algorithms to predict behavior, make decisions.
You see tools like Grok or other big AI models being used to drive strategy based on patterns in historical data.
Right, and Sinek's point is crucial here. That data tells you what people did, but it often misses the why, the human element, the nuance, the fear, the joy, the values that drove that action. If you build your AI strategy just on the what, without understanding the underlying why, you're flying blind, you might get seriously misguided results.
The AI sees the correlation, but it doesn't necessarily grasp the causation, the human intention behind it.
Precisely. The data gives you the result, the why gives you the context and the conviction. You absolutely need both. You got to look beyond just the metrics.
Makes sense? You need the human insight alongside the data. Like, subscribe, and share for more update and continue to next. Hashtag tag hack for shit. Chapter 2, carrots and sticks. Okay, Chapter 2, carrots and sticks. This dives right into manipulation, exposing those short-term tricks Sinek says ultimately fail.
Yeah, he lays out a really clear contrast. Manipulation is using external forces, things like price drops, promotions, fear tactics like FOMO, fear of missing out.
Or appealing to aspirations. Buy this and you'll be successful, popular.
Right. Or just straightforward incentives, the classic carrot. The key point Sinek makes is that these things only work as long as you keep applying them. They change behavior temporarily, maybe?
But they don't build loyalty. They don't create genuine enthusiasm.
Not at all. They create transactions. Inspiration, on the other hand, comes from within. It connects with belief.
We've all been there, right? You buy something because it was super cheap, but you feel no connection to the brand afterwards.
Or you bust your gut for a quarterly bonus, but you still kind of resent the job the next day.
Exactly. Sinek says relying on those tricks is basically an admission that you haven't articulated a compelling why. You're trying to bribe or coerce people instead of inspiring them.
And the turning point is realizing why those corporate incentives often fall flat in the long run. Bonuses, rewards, even performance metrics based on fear. They might work for a bit.
Yeah, people respond.
But they don't build lasting loyalty or that internal drive because they're all focused on the what, the reward, or the how, the task to get the reward. The why, the purpose, the meaning is missing.
You see this with corporate wellness programs in the U.S. right now. Companies spend a fortune.
Oh, yeah. Gift cards, bonuses for hitting health targets.
It's pure carrot and stick. And it often misses the point entirely, doesn't it? People aren't usually disengaged because they lack a cheap gym membership. They're disengaged because their work maybe lacks meaning, lacks purpose.
Exactly. It's an expensive Band-Aid that ignores the underlying issue. It never touches that internal why feeling valued, contributing to something bigger.
So if the message is just transactional, do this, get that, it's weak.
Right. But if the message is inspirational, we support your well-being because you're vital to our shared mission, now you're tapping into purpose, that's a different ballgame.
That's the shift from manipulation to inspiration. Like, subscribe, and share for more update, and continue to next. #tag segment 3. The Golden Circle in Biology. Part 2, chapters 3 and 4. #tag VV. Chapter 3. The Golden Circle.
Okay, now we get to the absolute heart of the book. Chapter 3, The Golden Circle. This is Sinek's core framework, the why, how, what blueprint.
And this is really the big aha moment, isn't it? The power of reversing the usual flow.
Totally. Most organizations, most people even, communicate from the outside in. They start with what they do. We sell computers. We offer consulting services.
Standard stuff.
Right. But Sinek shows that truly inspiring leaders, the ones who build real movements, they think, act, and communicate from the inside out. They start with why.
Okay, let's break down those layers again, just to be clear.
Sure. So picture 3 concentric circles. Right in the center, the bullseye, that's the WHY. This is the core belief, the purpose, the cause. It's why the organization exists beyond just making money. Why should anyone care?
Got it. The core belief.
Then the next ring out is the HOW. These are the specific actions, the values, the principles that make the organization unique. It's how they bring the why to life. It's not just process, it's the guiding philosophy in action.
Okay, so values and principles.
And the outermost ring is the what. This is the easy part. It's the tangible stuff, the products, the services, the results of the why and how.
Products and services.
And the magic, or the logic really, is in the relationship. The why informs the how, and the how determines the what. Everything has to flow outwards from that core belief. If the what doesn't feel connected to the why, the whole thing falls apart. Trust breaks down.
So it shifts competition away from just comparing features.
Exactly. Away from the what, towards comparing beliefs, towards the why. It becomes about finding people who believe what you believe.
And you mentioned Patagonia earlier as a great U.S. example.
Textbook example. Their why is crystal clear. We're in business to save our home planet. That's the driving force.
And their how follows directly from that.
Right. Ethical sourcing, sustainable materials, durable design, activism. That's how they live their why and the what. High-quality outdoor gear.
But people aren't just buying a jacket.
Not at all. They're buying into the mission. That shared belief creates intense loyalty. Price. Features, they become less critical because customers feel aligned with the company's values. Their success isn't just market share, it's community building based on that shared why.
So the product itself becomes proof of the belief. The durability proves the commitment to sustainability.
You nailed it. The what is the tangible evidence of the why. The how is the bridge that ensures authenticity.
Powerful stuff. Okay, what comes next? Like, subscribe, and share for more update, and continue to next. #tag or nights. Chapter 4. This is not opinion, this is biology. All right, this next chapter is fascinating. Chapter 4. This is not opinion, this is biology. Sinek takes this golden circle idea, which sounds maybe a bit philosophical.
And anchors it right in neuroscience. Yeah, this is where it gets really compelling because he explains why the golden circle works the way our brains are actually wired.
He connects it to brain structure, right?
Exactly. He maps the golden circle onto the human brain. So the outermost layer, the neocortex, that's our newest brain region, evolutionarily speaking. It's responsible for rational thought, analytical thinking, language.
So that corresponds to the what level?
Precisely. It processes facts, figures, features, benefits. It understands what something is. But deep inside, we have the limbic brain. This is much older, more primitive, so responsible for all our feelings, trust, loyalty, love, anger, and crucially, Sinek argues, it's responsible for all human behavior, all decision-making.
All decisions, even buying decisions.
Yes. But here's the catch. The limbic brain has no capacity for language. It doesn't understand facts and figures directly. It operates on feeling, on intuition, on gut.
So the why and the how levels connect to the limbic brain.
That's the core argument. When a company just communicates that our product has these 10 features, they're talking to the neocortex. We can understand it, analyze it.
But we don't necessarily feel anything. We don't feel compelled to act.
Exactly. Because the decision-making part of the brain, the limbic system, hasn't been engaged. But when you communicate the why, when you talk about purpose, belief, cause.
You're speaking directly to the limbic brain.
Right, you bypass the rational language center and tap straight into the part that controls feelings, trust, and behavior. That gut feeling that tells you something is right, that's the limbic brain responding to a well-articulated why.
So the turning point is realizing people buy why you do it, because that's where trust lives. The decision is emotional first.
And then the neocortex kicks in to rationalize it. Oh, I bought this because it has great battery life or whatever. But the initial decision was likely driven by that deeper, nonverbal connection to the why.
This explains so much about marketing, doesn't it? Especially modern U.S. neuromarketing.
Absolutely. The most effective advertising isn't just a list of features anymore. It's storytelling. It aims to evoke emotion, create a feeling, tap into shared values. It's targeting the limbic system first.
Get the feeling right and the sale follows.
Pretty much. Logic justifies, but emotion decides. Understanding this biology is a massive advantage for anyone trying to inspire action.
Wow. Okay, that adds a whole new layer. Like, subscribe, and share for more update, and continue to next. Hashtag tag segment 4, building trust and momentum. Part 2 and part 3, chapters 5, 6, 7. Hashtag tag 7, chapter 5, clarity, discipline, and consistency.
Okay, so we have the framework, the golden circle, and we understand the biology behind it. Now, Sinek moves into execution. Chapter 5 is about the 3 essentials: clarity, discipline, and consistency.
These sound like the operational requirements to make the golden circle actually work in practice.
Exactly, they're the guardrails. Sinek warns that if there's any mismatch between your stated why and what you actually do, your how or your what trust evaporates instantly.
Right, so let's break those down. Clarity first.
Clarity means you have to be absolutely non-negotiably clear about what your why is. You have to be able to articulate it simply. If you can't state your purpose clearly, how can anyone else understand or believe it?
Makes sense. Then discipline. This sounds like the tough one.
It often is. Discipline means having the guts to act in alignment with your why, consistently. It means making decisions, sometimes hard decisions, based on your purpose, saying no to opportunities, even profitable ones, if they don't fit the why.
So holding the line, even when it's difficult.
Precisely. And finally, consistency.
This is about reliability.
Yeah, it's about showing up the same way authentically over and over again. What your products, your services, your communication must consistently reflect your why and how. People need to know what you stand for reliably.
And the turning point Sinek highlights is really embracing that discipline, right? Ensuring the how and what are always, always direct results of the why.
Yes, if your why is, say, empowering small businesses, but your pricing structure, how, makes it impossible for small businesses to afford your product, what? You lack discipline. Your why sounds hollow, feels like a lie.
You see this play out all the time in the U.S. startup world, don't you? Lots of initial hype, big funding rounds.
Huge what?
Exactly, but sometimes the why feels fuzzy, or the discipline isn't there to stick to it when things get tough, or tempting opportunities arise.
And the startups that last, the ones that build real resilience, aren't always the flashiest. They're the ones who are incredibly clear about their why and relentlessly consistent and disciplined in pursuing it, even when it's not the easy path.
That consistency becomes the proof. Hype fades, but that disciplined action builds real trust.
Well said. Hype is fleeting. Discipline endures.
Like, subscribe, and share for more update, and continue to next. Hashtag 86 chapter 6, the emergence of trust.
So, building on that consistency and discipline, Chapter 6 focuses squarely on trust. Sinek argues trust isn't something you can demand or manufacture. It emerges organically.
How does it emerge, according to him?
Through that consistency we just talked about, but also through demonstrating shared values and beliefs. It's when people see that your actions align with your stated reason. Why, over time, that trust begins to form. It can also come from perceived vulnerability, showing you're acting on belief, not just calculation.
And the key insight here is that trust isn't about believing what someone can do, necessarily.
Right. It's about believing why they're doing it. It's that limbic brain connection again. If I believe you share my fundamental values, my core beliefs about the world, your why aligns with mine, then I'm much more likely to trust you. I trust your intentions, even if the path ahead is uncertain.
That has huge implications for leadership, especially now with so many U.S. teams being remote or distributed.
Absolutely critical. We have all these amazing collaboration tools, AI assistants, project management software. That's all managing the how and the what of the work.
But what holds it all together?
Trust. And Sinek argues that in a remote environment, where you don't have those constant physical cues, a clearly articulated and consistently lived cadence, why is the essential glue? It's the shared purpose that allows people to work autonomously but still be aligned.
So if everyone deeply understands and believes in the mission, the why, they can make decisions independently that still serve the collective goal.
Exactly. You don't need as much top-down control or micromanagement because you trust their conviction to guide their actions, whether they're in the office next door or working from halfway across the country.
It creates a kind of self-regulating system based on shared belief.
That shared belief becomes the operating system for effective collaboration, especially when people aren't physically together. It's the foundation.
Like, subscribe, and share for more update, and continue to next. #tag IX. Chapter 7, How a Tipping Point Tips. Okay, this leads us nicely into Chapter 7, How a Tipping Point Tips. This is where Sinek connects the golden circle and trust to how ideas actually spread and gain mass adoption. He uses the diffusion of innovations curve.
Right, that classic bell curve showing how different groups adopt new ideas or technologies. This chapter explains the momentum piece, how something small, fueled by a clear why, can suddenly explode into a mainstream phenomenon.
And the crucial part isn't the majority initially, is it? It's those first groups.
Precisely. Sinek focuses on the first 16% or so. First, you have the innovators, maybe 2.5%. These are the true believers, the visionaries who jump on board purely because they resonate with the why. They don't need proof, they need belief.
They're taking the biggest risk.
Huge risk. Then come the early adopters, about 13.5%.
Yeah.
They're also driven by the why, by intuition. But maybe they need to see the innovators using it first. They trust their gut, but they want to see it working for people like them.
And this first 16%, the innovators and early adopters, they are the key.
They are everything because they are the ones who adopt based on belief, based on that limbic connection to the why. They become the crucial bridge to the mainstream market.
How so?
Because the next group, the early majority, about 34%, are much more pragmatic. They need social proof. They won't buy into just an idea. They need to see that it works, that other people they respect are using it.
So the early adopters provide that proof.
Exactly. The early majority looks to the early adopters. Once enough early adopters are on board and advocating for the idea or product, that's when the tipping point happens. The early majority starts to come along, not necessarily because they fully grasp the why initially, but because they trust the people who do, and they don't want to be left behind.
This maps really well onto how things go viral, like social campaigns or even political movements in the U.S., right?
Perfectly. A purpose-driven campaign takes off when those initial passionate believers, the innovators and early adopters, authentically champion the cause. Sinek's strategic point is critical. You don't need millions of followers at the start. You need a smaller group of highly passionate, aligned believers who truly embody the why.
Their passion is contagious.
It is. Their conviction provides the energy and the trust needed to convince the more cautious majority. Focusing on winning over that first 16% based on belief is far more effective than trying to market features to the masses from day one.
Focus on the believers first, and they'll bring the rest.
That's the essence of the tipping point, according to Sinek.
Like, subscribe, and share for more update, and continue to next. #tag segment 5, Execution and Communication. Part 4, chapters 8, 9, 10. #tag X, chapter 8. Start with WHY, but know how.
All right, we're shifting gears slightly now into part 4, which is all about putting this into practice. Chapter 8 has a really important title. Start with WHY, but know how.
So it's acknowledging that the vision, the why, isn't enough on its own. You need the practical ability to execute.
Absolutely. This chapter is about integrating the dreamer with the doer. The why is the vision, the inspiration, the destination on the map, but the how represents the practical steps, the systems, the processes, the capabilities needed to actually make the journey.
A brilliant why without a solid how just remains an idea, a pipe dream.
Exactly. And Sinek points out the emotional turning point here. You need both optimism and realism. You need the bold vision of the why, but you also need the disciplined execution of the how to make real progress. Passion alone doesn't build a sustainable organization or movement.
So there needs to be a balance within the organization.
A crucial balance. If you only have why people, you get great speeches, but no products. If you only have how people, you get efficient processes making things nobody is inspired by.
Thinking about those visionaries again, like in the AI space, maybe at XAI.
They exemplify this duality, right? You have these incredibly ambitious, almost science fiction level ideas about the future of intelligence. That's the huge why.
But then they have to translate that into
Concrete engineering challenges, complex algorithms, massive data infrastructure, hiring specialized talent. That's the how. A successful organization needs both the visionary who articulates the why and the practical leaders and teams who figure out how to build it step by step.
The philosopher and the engineer working together.
You need both. The how provides the structure and the discipline to make the why real. It holds the vision accountable to reality.
Like, subscribe, and share for more update and continue to next. Hashtag tag tag Jack XIY Chapter 9. No WHY, no how W. Then what?
Chapter 9 builds directly on that, connecting the golden circle to actual organizational structure. The idea is simple but profound. The organization itself should mirror the golden circle.
How does that work in practice, like in terms of roles and responsibilities?
Sinek suggests that the leadership, especially the CEO or founder, needs to be the primary guardian of the why. Their main job is to embody, articulate, and protect the core purpose. They operate at the center of the circle.
Okay, so the leader focuses on why.
Then the next layer of leadership, the senior executives, the management team, they are responsible for the how. They figure out the strategies, build the systems, cultivate the culture, translate the why into actionable plans.
They build the bridge.
Exactly. And then the frontline employees, the people actually building the product, delivering the service, interacting with customers, they're focused on the what. They execute the how to produce the tangible results that represent the why.
So it's a flow of purpose from the center outwards through the organization's structure.
Right. And the turning point here is realizing that roles need to be designed intentionally to support this flow. If the CEO, the why person, gets bogged down in operational details, how, or obsessing over daily sales figures, what, then nobody is minding the store at the strategic level. The why gets diluted.
That makes sense. You need people focused at each level.
Consider a company like Tesla in the US. Their mission, accelerating sustainable energy, that's the why. It permeates everything.
To feel it.
You do. And the leadership focuses on that vision, while engineering teams figure out how to make better batteries or more efficient manufacturing, and the people on the factory floor execute the what, building the cars. That alignment, driven from the why, is what fuels their innovation and resilience. Everyone knows how their piece contributes to the bigger mission.
When the structure reflects the purpose, the output, the what becomes naturally authentic?
That's the goal. A coherent system where belief drives action, which creates results.
Like, subscribe, and share for more update and continue to next. Hashtag 12. Chapter 10. Communication is not about speaking, it's about listening. Okay, Chapter 10 flips our usual understanding of communication. Sinek argues it's less about what you say and more about what your actions signal. Authenticity is key.
Yeah, this creates real tension because any disconnect between words and actions is immediately obvious and damaging. If a company talks endlessly about its earning advantage, or being, say, customer focus, but its customer service systems, how, are terrible, or its products, what, are unreliable.
The message is completely undermined. Trust is broken.
Instantly. Sinek's core idea is that communication is most powerful when what everything the outside world sees and experiences, like your product, your marketing, your culture, perfectly mirrors the why. It's about signaling the belief through tangible proof, not just shouting it from the rooftops.
So actions really do speak louder than words.
Much louder. The emotional turning point is grasping the power of symbols and consistent behavior over slick marketing slogans. People connect with authenticity at that deeper limbic level.
How does the listening part come in?
In today's world, especially in the U.S. digital landscape, brands have to constantly listen. They use social media monitoring, customer feedback, data analysis, not just to see if people like the product, but to understand how their actions, the what, are being perceived. Are we living up to our stated why?
So it's about checking if the signal is being received correctly.
Exactly. Is our behavior consistently reinforcing our core purpose? If the market perceives a gap between what we say we believe, why, and how we actually behave, how and what, then we've failed to communicate effectively no matter how much we spend on advertising. The what has to be a clear, undeniable filter for the why.
How you show up consistently is the real message.
That's the essence of authentic communication, according to Sinek.
Like, subscribe, and share for more update and continue to next. Hashtag tag segment 6. Cautionary Tales and Origins, Part 5 and Part 6, Chapters 11, 12, 13. Hashtag tag 13, Chapter 11, When WHY Goes Fuzzy. Now we move into some cautionary tales. Part 5 starts with Chapter 11, When WHY Goes Fuzzy. This tackles a really common problem, success leading to complacency.
Right. This introduces conflict. An organization achieves success based on its initial why, but then things start to drift. The very success it achieves creates pressure to grow faster, diversify, maximize profits, and now W.
And the focus shifts.
Inevitably, the focus shifts towards the What chasing revenue, market share, quarterly targets. The organization starts defining itself by its results, by its metrics, rather than by its original purpose. The foundational belief, the why, gets blurry, fuzzy.
It becomes an afterthought, maybe?
Or worse, just a slogan on the wall that nobody really believes anymore. Sinek warns this is incredibly dangerous. It's an organizational identity crisis waiting to happen.
And this demands a kind of wake-up call, a moment of reckoning.
Absolutely. A conscious effort to perform an organizational self-audit. Are we still clear on why we exist? Or have we become so focused on what we do and getting bigger that we've lost our way? The danger is the what starts driving the bus instead of the why.
You see this with a lot of established U.S. companies, right? Especially older legacy firms that have maybe grown through acquisition or diversification.
Oh, definitely. They might operate in dozens of different markets, chasing every trend, and eventually nobody, not the customers, not even the employees, is quite sure what the company actually stands for anymore. What's the core belief holding it all together?
And without that clear why.
They become reactive. They get dragged into competing purely on price, features, promotions, and the manipulation game because they've lost their inspirational core. Their products become commodities because their purpose has faded into the background.
They traded their unique belief for generic growth metrics. A dangerous path.
Very dangerous. Losing the why. Why is losing your soul.
Like, subscribe, and share for more update, and continue to next. #CheckApty42, Chapter 12, Split Happens. Following that warning, Chapter 12, Split Happens, tackles the challenges that come specifically with growth and scale. The stakes get higher here.
Yeah, this deals with a practical reality. As an organization gets bigger, that direct connection between the founder, the original source of the why, and every single employee inevitably breaks down. You just can't personally inspire thousands of people the way you could inspire 10.
That intimate communication link is lost.
It's severed by scale. And maintaining the clarity and passion of that original why across a large, complex organization becomes exponentially harder. Things get deleted, misinterpreted. Different departments might develop their own conflicting interpretations of the mission.
The split happens between the original vision and the operational reality.
Exactly. And this leads to a critical turning point, especially when it comes to leadership succession. Choosing the next leader isn't just about finding someone with the right skills or business plan.
It's about finding someone who can carry the torch for the why.
Precisely. The successor must be a custodian of the purpose. They have to genuinely embody and believe in the core mission, not just be a competent operator focused on optimizing the how and what. If the new leader doesn't live the right why, the split widens, often fatally.
We see this challenge constantly with leadership transitions in big U.S. tech companies, for example. When a visionary founder steps aside,
The whole game changes. If the new CEO is purely an operations expert, focused on efficiency and maximizing existing revenue streams, how and what, they might inadvertently kill the innovative spirit, the risk-taking culture that the why originally fostered.
talent leaves, the culture fragments.
And the company loses its soul, its inspirational edge. The leader has to communicate belief, embody the purpose, keep the why alive and central. It can't just be delegated or assumed.
The purpose needs to be felt in the C-suite, not just read in the annual report.
Absolutely, it has to be lived from the top down.
Like, subscribe, and share for more update, and continue to next. #5HOXV. Chapter 13, The Origins of a WHY. This brings us to Chapter 13, The Origins of a WHY, which feels like one of the most personal and profound parts of the book. Sinek delves into where that core belief actually comes from.
Yeah, this is really the foundation of everything. Sinek makes a powerful argument. A truly authentic organizational mortgage. Why isn't something you invent in a boardroom or workshop?
It's not manufactured.
No. He says it's discovered. It almost always stems directly from the founder's own life, their personal history, their deep-seated beliefs, formed through formative experiences, maybe childhood struggles, pivotal moments, core values instilled early on.
So it's deeply autobiographical.
In essence, yes. The emotional turning point here is realizing that the most powerful, most resilient source of inspiration comes from looking inward, from unearthing your own story. If the organization's purpose is rooted in an unshakable personal conviction of the founder,
Then it has real staying power. It's not just a marketing angle.
exactly. It's authentic because it's part of who the founder is. The organizational why is fundamentally tied to the founder's personal why, their view of the world, what they believe needs to change or be protected.
This connects to a lot of current trends we see in the U.S., doesn't it? Like mindfulness, self-reflection apps, journaling.
It really does. There's this growing emphasis on understanding your own motivations, tracing your values back to your experiences. It's implicitly reinforcing Sinek's point. True purpose isn't something you construct. It's something you uncover within yourself. And that authenticity is what people connect with.
You can't really outsource finding your purpose.
No. It requires that introspection, that willingness to connect with your own fundamental beliefs. That's where the most powerful whys originate.
Like, subscribe, and share for more update and continue to next. Tag segment 7, the new competition. Part 6, chapter 14. Tag 6, chapter 14, the new competition.
Okay, we've reached the final chapter of the main argument, chapter 14, the new competition. Sinek concludes with this really empowering challenge, reframing what it means to succeed.
It's not about beating others.
Not primarily. The final emotional surge comes from realizing the ultimate goal isn't to crush the competition in the marketplace. It's to become the best possible version of yourself, to most effectively advance your own why.
So the competition is internal. It's about competing against your own potential.
Exactly. The turning point is consciously shifting your focus from obsessing over external rivals, what are they doing, how can we beat them, to focusing on your own purpose. Am I living up to my why? How can I improve my how and what to better serve my core belief?
That shift must free up a lot of energy.
Immense energy. Instead of constantly reacting to what others are doing, you become proactive, driven by your own mission. Sinek redefines success not as market share, but as alignment. Are we staying true to our way? Are we constantly improving how we manifest it?
The moment you start just copying competitors' features or matching their prices.
You've lost. You've outsourced your strategy. You've become reactive, driven by fear or envy, not by purpose. You lose your inspirational edge.
This feels particularly relevant in the hyper-competitive U.S. market. It's so easy to get caught up in the horse race.
Totally. But Sinek argues that focusing inward on your purpose, on consistency, on constantly improving how you serve that purpose, is the only path to sustainable long-term growth and loyalty. When you compete against yourself, against your own potential.
You're always motivated to get better. You're not dependent on what someone else does.
Precisely. The goal isn't just to be the best in the world. It's to be the best for the world you believe in, the world your why envisions. That internal focus creates a powerful, self-sustaining drive.
A much healthier way to compete, ultimately.
And, Sinek argues, a much more successful one in the long run.
Like, subscribe, and share for more update and continue to next. Tag outro. Wow, okay, that was quite a journey through Start With Why. We covered a lot of ground, from seeing through manipulation
To understanding the golden circle structure and its roots in our own biology.
and then the absolute necessity of clarity, discipline, and consistency to keep that why alive, especially through growth and leadership changes.
The real power here, I think, is how applicable this framework is. Once you grasp it, you really do have this lens, this diagnostic tool. You, the listener, can now look at almost any leader, any company, any movement, particularly here in the U.S.
And you can assess their potential, right? Their potential for real lasting inspiration based on how clear, how authentic, how consistent their why actually is.
It shifts your focus from just looking at the surface and the hype, the quarterly numbers, to evaluating the depth of their conviction, the strength of that core belief.
It's a fundamental change in perspective.
Which brings us to a final thought, something for you to maybe chew on. We talked about chapter 13, how Sinek argues that a powerful why originates from the founder's deep personal experience and belief, is discovered, not invented.
Right. So here's the question. What happens when that's not the case? What happens when a Sinek is acting? Why is maybe inherited by a successor who doesn't have that same gut-level connection to the origin story?
Or even more complicated, what if a large corporation tries to, reverse engineer or acquire a sense of purpose? Can you actually manufacture a purpose?
Yeah.
Why that feels authentic?
Can an artificial purpose, one that wasn't organically discovered, ever truly inspire people enough to create a real tipping point? Or is that lack of genuine origin always going to hold it back?
Something to think about, definitely, as you look at the organizations around you. Where does their purpose really come from?
Definitely food for thought. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into Simon Sinek's Start With Why.
Yeah, thanks everyone. We'll catch you next time.